us. Let me start our recording here. All right, so today we are going to talk about Communicator. I've got an agenda here. So first thing I want to do are give you some updates on what's happening with Vertex and ShoreTel. Then we'll roll into some tips and tricks for ShoreTel Communicator, and then I'll open the lines up to answer any questions that you have. If you do have a question, you can ask that online. I am flying solo today, so I will apologize in advance if I don't see those. I'll do my best to watch the questions on the online thing, but it's somewhat difficult with only one person doing the presentation. So let's go into our Vertex consulting news. So once again, back in May, we won the ShoreTel World Class Customer Service Award for our 24th quarter in a row. Fully expect we'll be seeing another one of those here in the next month or so. For those of you who have been clients for a while, you know that we strive very diligently to offer excellent customer service. We've got quite a bit of technology invested. We do a lot of surveys and things after trouble tickets are completed. And we're very pleased to have received that award from ShoreTel. As usual, we're a growing company. We're up to 24 employees. We're pretty much constantly interviewing for new positions, mostly in the engineering side of things, tech guys. And so we are looking to fill a position at the Ocala office. We've also gotten set up here in the last few months with a new product called Brightmetrics, which is a third-party reporting solution for the ShoreTel. Again, for those of you that have used the ShoreTel reporting, it's robust in the sense that it gives you the information that you want, but it's not terribly pretty as far as the formatting of the information, and you have to do a lot of work to massage it if you export it out into Excel or a similar program. So we've gotten set up with this Brightmetrics partner or Brightmetrics reporting solution as one of their partners, and that's actually going to be the focus of our next webinar. We're going to do a deep dive into that Brightmetrics. I was hoping to do that for today, but it didn't work out with the Brightmetrics side. We've also got want to remind you on the quickest way to get support from Vertex if you need it. You can always call our toll-free number. Obviously, if your system is hard down, you're going to select the hard down option. Otherwise, select the support option. To give you an idea, our average time to answer a call, we use all of the ShoreTel products in-house, including the contact center, and our average answer time is about 7 seconds. So you should reach somebody live unless it's after hours. And of course, if it's after hours and it's hard down, just choose the hard down option, leave a message, and one of the engineers that is on call will get back to you promptly. So email is help@vertex.com. And again, that will create automatically a ticket for you in our system. I've gone ahead and scheduled our next webinar. That'll be the one where we do the Brightmetrics deep dive for Thursday, August 27th. We were trying to do these webinars every 2 weeks, and we're a little short-handed on the sales side right now, so I went ahead and just made that one a month out so that we don't come up short. So, important notices. I mentioned this on the last webinar that we did. The ShoreTel IP230, which was the old model phone, which was kind of the standard workhorse telephone, the end of sale date for that was June 30th. We did send out, I know I sent an email out to my clients, and we had several people place last minute orders for those, and I can confirm that ShoreTel is out of stock on that IP230 model. My understanding is they still do have the IP230Gs, but just as a general, kind of a general rule of thumb, they're saying the end of sale for basically all of the older model phone series, the 1, 2, and 5 series phones, will be September 30th. The only possible exception to that is, again, the 230G, because of the absence right now, if you will, of a equivalent product for the VPN concentrator. That's what the 230G phone works with, the ShoreTel VPN concentrator. Those may hang around a little while longer, just because they don't have a solution developed that works with the 4 series phones yet. So bear that in mind. So one of the things I always like to point out on these webinars, and also when I come visit with my ShoreTel clients, is that while we are, ShoreTel's go-to partner in Florida, we don't just do ShoreTel. We're a full service data practice. We offer managed services. We're top tier technology partners with all of the vendors here that you see, the logos here. We've had a great deal of success with Quorum and Datto in the backup and disaster recovery space. Those are some very powerful products. And, it seems like just a couple of years ago, our internal conversations were, we used to lament the fact that we didn't have any good backup solutions. And now we've got, between Datto and Quorum, you've really got some fantastic products. We also just had a presentation a couple of weeks ago from a company called Green Cloud that we're now a partner with, and they do, basically infrastructure as a service. So you could basically spin up everything you want virtually, and they charge you, for the CPU cores and the memory and the hard drive space and all that good stuff. So we've got lots of options across the board. We're basically a best of breed solution provider. So Don, our CEO, basically evaluates the manufacturers and the products that are out on the market, and he, of course, tries to pick the ones that are the absolute best of the best. So I want to talk to you for a few minutes, and this might be remedial for a couple of you I see on here have seen some of this information before, but I want to go through the updates that have happened, basically the big updates in ShoreTel 14.2. And the big improvements there basically are updated operating system support and virtualization. So on the OS side, we now support, we support 2008 Service Pack 2, 2008 R2, Windows Server 2012, and then of course they've improved the Internet Explorer 10 and 11 with Director, where they had some issues previously that they've resolved, I guess is the way to say it, with Internet Explorer. Pretty much, when we're selling new systems, obviously, or if we have anybody that's upgrading or migrating servers, we try to get them on Server 2012, for obvious reasons, just to get them on the latest version. So the big news, like I say, is the introduction of virtualization. We've been able to virtualize the ShoreTel HQ server and the distributed voice servers for quite some time, and those can be virtualized on either VMware or Microsoft Hyper-V. The big news, though, with 14.2 is we're actually able to virtualize the switches and the appliances now as well, in addition to the in-gate separator, which is actually somebody else's product, but we sell it through ShoreTel for the SIP part of the solution. The virtual images are installed on VMware, install as an OVA. They're very easy to deploy, and of course, there's a licensing component. I'll go through that here in a second. That makes it very appealing, especially on larger installations. So, some of the options we have now is the ability to do a virtual IP phone switch. So, whereas before we may be deploying physical switches for IP phone capacity, we now have the ability to virtualize that switch, and it can do up to 1,000 IP phones per virtual switch. The licensing is, you can do bundles of 1, 10, 50, and 100, I believe. I think they even have one for 200. And like I say, the cost is lower, of course, because there's no physical hardware involved for them to have a cost associated with. Now, one of the other big benefits with the virtual phone switches is that we can now, in the old days, if you wanted N+1 redundancy, we would basically have to sell you a spare physical switch that you would designate as a spare. Now we can deploy that virtually, and there's no license cost for that. So you can actually have your redundant switch installed, basically for the time it takes our guys to spin it up, and you're covered from that aspect. One of the other advantages of the phone switches as well. Again, just kind of give you some idea as to how flexible the virtualization thing makes everything. Is we have the ability, if you needed station port capacity, analog capacity for like 6-party conference calling. Again, in the old days when we would configure, we're engineering a system, the person needs to be able to do 4 6-party conferences at the same time. That would require a $3,000 24-port analog switch. With the new virtual phone switch, we can actually deploy those virtually, allocate those resources, and again, there's no actual license cost, other than the overhead on your VMware installation. Likewise, on the trunking side, we can do a virtual SIP trunk with up to 500 SIP trunks, and again, those can be licensed individually or in bundles. The other big news, and we've started doing this actually on our new installations kind of by default, is you can virtualize what used to be called the ShoreTel SA100, which was the conference appliance. We can now virtualize that. And again, there's no licensing charge. And basically what that will do is, as of ShoreTel 13 or later, you have a contacts tab. It used to be a paid upgrade in Pro Communicator. As of version 13, they started including the contacts for free. And now with this virtual conference appliance, you can actually do instant messaging for free on the ShoreTel. So that's a cool feature. And then, of course, if you want, you can license the audio conferencing and web conferencing portion, and that enables that component. So you can basically do your own GoToMeeting. So those are your options there with the virtualization. I'm going to jump over into my communicator now and run you through some of these. I apologize for that. I'm working from the house today, and I've got puppies and yard people outside. All right. We have a couple of things. Some of this, again, might be remedial, but these are things that people, when we do the training, either forget or ask about later, after we've completed the deployment. So the first thing I want to do is just walk you through some of the view settings. And the most obvious, if you guys haven't played with this, you have the ability to go to view here. And we could, for instance, dock communicator over to the left. Much smaller footprint there. You can actually do a miniature view. And that will make it tiny here. I don't know if you guys can see. Some of my screen is covered up by the GoToMeeting information, but that's the miniature view. And of course, you can still type in, if I wanted to search for a user on my system, I type in Don, and of course, there's Don's extension and so on. So you can still do the click to type. I'm going to go ahead and expand this back out to normal mode, because then I want to show you some of the window options. So right now, you'll see here at the bottom, I've only got my contacts and my history tab showing. If I want to see my voicemail, I just go to Window and Voicemail. Now, I can basically, not only can I move the communicator around on the desktop with the docking and the miniature and all that, I can also customize how I want these tabs to appear within Communicator. And so I'm going to do that by going to our options. And then I believe it's in the customization and drag and drop. So right here, you've got a checkbox for enable drag and drop window arrangement. I'm going to check that. And also change the color scheme there. If you're interested, I'll go ahead and flip that to silver just for kicks. And click OK. And then what this is going to let me do is I can actually go in now and change the appearance of the tabs within Communicator. So now you can see, instead of modifying Communicator on the screen, I can put my history tab separate, rearrange these however I see fit. If I wanted to have my voicemail and contacts and history all showing at the same time, and I wanted to extend this, I could. So you get the point there. I could dock. Anyway, lots of Lots of options there. So very easy to customize Communicator to work in the available desktop space that you've got. Go ahead and close these. All right. So let's talk about extension assignment and additional phones. These are some basic features that you may already be using, but again, sometimes people don't know how to configure them or forget after we do the initial training. So let's say that we want to, and I'm not going to do this, but I've got my mobile phone assigned to as one of the options that I can assign my extension to. Right now, you'll see here I'm assigned to my primary phone. That means that I'm on my desktop handset here at my desk at the house. If you ever see that your phone shows as assigned, that's because the phone that you're on is not the MAC address that's tied to your name in the database. And so an example would be if I were to go to Ocala, to my cubicle there in Ocala, and I assign myself to the phone there in that cube, this would show as assigned. But primary means you're at your main phone. Now I've got my cell phone plugged in here as an alternate. If I were to select the cell phone, what would happen is my desktop handset would show available or anonymous. And if you called into the system and hit my DID, it would then call out, it would grab one of the trunks off the PRI, call my cell phone, and connect the call that way. So that's an option there. You can also, of course, do simultaneous ring so that I could have my cell phone and my handset ring at the same time. So you see here we've got a section to add, basically all of your phone numbers. You see here they give you plenty of options to add in addition to the regular stuff. You see my mobility extension there. And then if you want to customize the routing, you do that under this incoming call routing session. And of course you can do that by call handling mode, et cetera, et cetera. So this is where you're going to configure all of that. I do want to show you in the call handling modes that each mode has a separate greeting, and you can change that voicemail greeting to whatever you like. And so obviously this can be used for call coverage, so you're out of let's say you're extended absence, right? So you're basically in vacation mode. I can change this to where somebody calls in, I can just have it always forward my calls instead of going, right now it's going to my voicemail, and I have a custom voicemail greeting saying, hey, this is Matt, I'm on vacation. If you need something, dial extension, whatever. If I wanted to, I could just change this to a specific individual, right? So if somebody calls in and I'm in extended absence, it's going to ring their phone. Or if you had a hunt group, for sales, you could have it ring the hunt group. Excuse me. Pretty much anything you can imagine, you can cover with this customization. The other thing you can do is if somebody presses 0, and again, this is per mode now. This is, and here's a good example of why I should put my, right now I should be in a meeting mode, right? So I'll put myself in a meeting, and that call just went to voicemail. So here is the other thing. Per mode, you have the ability to set this when caller presses the 0 while they're in your voicemail. You can have it go somewhere other than the primary receptionist. So again, in my case, I don't want them to zero out to the main receptionist. They're probably going to be looking for somebody else in sales that can help them. So I've got these all set to go to our sales hunt group extension. And that way they get somebody a little faster than having to go all the way back out to reception and then back in. So that's that one. Now, one of the options you have with, this is a pro communicator feature, okay? So this is an upgrade to the standard, the standard personal. Having issues here with I'm on my MacBook Pro with the virtual machine, and the FaceTime was making it flip over to the Mac. All right, so now I'm back in my Windows box, and this personalized call handling is really cool. It's a Pro Communicator feature. It's a Pro Communicator, if you don't know, is an $80 list price upgrade from the regular Communicator. And basically, you can think of Pro Communicator just like rules for Outlook, where you can basically say, okay, if an email comes from a particular individual, or if it has a particular thing in the subject line, I can dictate ahead of time what I want the routing, how I want the routing to happen for that, move a copy to a folder, forward it to somebody else, etc. This is the exact same concept. We can create rules, and you can see here I've actually got a rule created where if Don calls me, the ringtone on my phone is actually different. And that way I know, I can tell if it's him calling versus a customer or a coworker. I guess the easiest way to say it is he likes for people to answer when he calls. So if I was outside taking the dogs out or something and hear that ringtone, then I hustle to get back in here to answer the call. Whereas if it's somebody else, I'd let it go to voicemail and call them back when I get back to my desk. The other thing you can do, a practical application for this, is we've had situations. We had one client in particular, which was an insurance company, and somehow one of their South Florida phone numbers got published for a very high traffic event somewhere up in like Kentucky. So basically it was a misprint, either in the phone book or some sort of pretty permanent directory where it's out there. And they were getting a high volume of calls from this, from people trying to locate this Kentucky event, get information on whatever it was. And so what we did for them, ShoreTel has a product called a Nuisance call handler, which is a couple of $1,000s, and it's a system-wide product where you can go in and plug in, different rules and things that apply to the entire system. But in their case, they had one individual receptionist basically that was fielding all the calls. So they had a live, basically if somebody called the main number, all the calls were going to one particular individual. So what we did is we just upgraded this guy's Communicator to Pro, and then we created rules that basically showed, if it was from these Kentucky area codes that they were used to seeing, it would put them into an informational mailbox, which basically explained to them, hey, you dialed a wrong number. You're trying to get to company XYZ. You've actually reached Harbor Insurance in Florida. The correct number is, blah, 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 blah. And then that way they're able to field those calls. And again, not a big deal if it's 1 or 2 calls a month, but in their case, it was like several calls a day. It was a very high traffic thing. So that's a practical, kind of out of the box solution for using the personalized call handling. Pretty much anything you can, just like Outlook rules, anything you can think of, you can pretty much do here with this interface. You can see here, based on the DNS match, day of the week, day of the time of day, et cetera, et cetera. So pretty neat feature there. If you're not familiar with that, you may want to check it out. And also bear in mind, I'll touch on this, with the ShoreTel, the licensing is very simple. And one of the nice things about it is if you want to play with a feature for Pro Communicator or Agent or Operator, anything like that, you can actually go into Director and oversubscribe the license. So let's say that I had a personal communicator license. I wanted to test out these Pro Communicator features. I could go into the system, flip myself from personal to Pro, and it would actually let me see those. I would be able to use the product just like we had purchased this. What you're going to get, though, and this is actually our internal system here, is you're going to get this warning that says your system configuration exceeds your purchase licenses. You're going to be locked out after so many days. And so you'll see here we're 8 days from lockout. And so I actually put in a ticket this morning saying, hey, I'm prepping for my ShoreTel webinar, and I noticed we're 8 days out. So they'll get that rectified. Just as an additional note, you do not want your director to get locked out, because once that happens, we as Vertex can't unlock it. We have to go to ShoreTel, and you basically have to pay money to get the licenses in line to get it unlocked. So anyway, all right, let's go back to, I want to show you how to set a status note in these call handling modes. This is a pretty handy feature as well. And again, it's one of those things where it just helps your coworkers, especially in a distributed organization where you have multiple locations. It helps them know what's going on. So let's say that every now and again, I will go visit my girlfriend who lives in Maryland, and I will work remotely from her house. And so what I will do when that happens is I'll actually put, even though I'm available to take phone calls and I'm in standard call handling mode, I'll actually put working remotely from Maryland. And that way people know, so if somebody's thinking, hey, I'm going to call Matt and see if he can run down the street to XYZ customer, they know that that's not going to work because I'm not physically in town. And what you'll see here, let me go back and get my contacts tab, is that when we roll over, I've got to put myself in standard, I'm standard call handling mode, and now when you roll over, you see my call handling note there. So again, anybody up in Ocala, if they saw that, they would know I'm not around. And of course, you can customize that for each of the different modes. I was just looking to see if any of the other guys have anything set on theirs. Don is really good about plugging in, if he's out on client meetings or anything like that. So he'll put, he's out of the office, that sort of thing. All right, so that's call handling mode. Again, you can set that from within the configure call handling section. And now you can also do the same thing with the instant messaging. You can set a note for that as well, but you actually do that, it's a little bit different. You actually do that from out here. So you go to the swirly, and under IM presence, there's a status note that you can set here as well. So again, I'll plug in remotely from Maryland. That. And now the other, there's an option, I just won't worry about it right now. But basically, if they hover, you see now I've got the IM status as well. So you got call handling mode and the IM status showing up there both ways. All right. Let's go. One of the other things that's comes in handy, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the, I'm sure everybody probably forwards voicemails from the phones and things, but one of the things you may not know is that you can actually rename a voicemail. And so if I want to, I can click edit subject here, and I could say sales guy from Jaguars, and then I could forward that to Don, and that will retain that subject. So basically, if I wanted to send it to Don, which I don't, because we don't want to talk to the Jaguar sales guy because he calls like every week. I could send that, and it would, you see the subject there is changed. So instead of just saying voicemail, he would see what the subject is. One other thing you may not know here is you see the options here: urgent, private, return receipt. So urgent, if you mark that, it goes to the top of their voicemail list. If you do private, it means they can't forward it, right? So it's between you and them, and they're not allowed to forward it to anybody else. And then return receipt, of course, is going to notify you when they've listened to it. And so one of the jokes our ShoreTel area sales manager always tells is that when he sends an email to our ShoreTel sales engineer, he'll mark the return receipt, so that he knows when the guy's read it, and he can hound him appropriately for the answer. So we'll cancel out of that. The other thing you guys may or may not be doing, we have the ability to create custom toolbars. And I've actually already got quite a few created. You would actually do this through the back end in Director. It's done under the user section. So I don't want to get too far off track here from the communicator side. But if we go to me, and then you go to personal options. Having some a long running script. Okay. There we go. So you've got the personal options, and then you see here we've got this program communicator toolbars. And this is where, again, I'm doing this for a specific user. Okay, so this is only for me. You could do this for a class of service or a group of users. In this case, it's just me. So I'm going to click on new and just show you very quickly. You select what the function is. So it's going to be telephony. In this case, I'm going to do record a call. I'm going to call this one record test because I already have one called record. Put it in my mailbox, and it is, there you go. So you got to make sure it pulls your user. And then I'm going to save that. Oh, got to give it a name, sorry. Well, all right, so now that's saved. And now when I go back over here, under my view, we should see the one I called record test. So right there, show record test 2. And you see there, it's there. Now, if it's not showing as available because it doesn't give me the option to record unless I'm on a live call. So if I started a call, that would become an option and I could click that. One of the other things we've seen with these toolbars that comes in really handy is you can actually embed a URL right into one of the toolbars. And so we've done with some of our contact centers, we've actually embedded some links for various documents that they may need quick access to while they're talking to a customer. It's a pretty neat way to get things right in front of your agents so they don't have to go dig for them. So that's the custom toolbars. And the last thing I want to do is just walk you through kind of a reminder on the Outlook integration. We can integrate with your Outlook contacts. We can integrate with your, let's see if I can get this fixed here. I am seriously challenged with this Macintosh trackpad. My battery on my, there we go. So we can do voicemail, we can do contact integration, we can do voicemail integration, we can do calendar integration. So if I want to mark this as unheard, that will bold it, and then I believe, let's see if, I don't remember if Outlook, if it sends me another notification in Outlook or not. Apparently not. But basically, there's two types of Outlook integration with the voicemail. There is an option for basically including a player. So just like I have a play button here, I would get a custom form in Outlook that has a play button. It's got the option to play it on my phone or my PC. And that uses up no space on your Exchange server, or I can choose the option to embed the voicemail as a WAV file, which allows me to send it outside the network, maybe to my mobile device, and then I can just click on the WAV file and play it with my media player on my iPhone instead of having to call in and check my voicemail. So that's one of the options there. The other thing we can do, like I say, is you've got your Outlook integration with your contacts. So again, if I type in Don, not only does it pull our Don, right, locally on the system, but every single Don I've got in my Outlook contacts. And you can see there are quite a few. And of course, I would just click to dial. Again, all of that integration is Outlook side, not Exchange side. Everything's written to Outlook, so you don't have to worry about what version of Exchange you're on or any of that. Last thing I wanted to show you, I actually went ahead and pulled it up here, is if I create a new calendar entry, you'll see here I've got the option for putting myself in a certain call handling mode. So if I put in, I'm doing the ShoreTel webinar from 9 to 9:45. I want myself to be in a meeting, and that's actually what I have my default set for, is in a meeting. Then at 9 o'clock, it will flip me into a meeting. At 9:45, it will take me out. You can basically drive your call handling mode with your Outlook calendar. Very last kind of bonus thing here is if you've got the ShoreTel conference bridge, if you're actually paying for the licensing for the conference, you'll see here we've also got a plugin for that in Outlook. And I can create an invitation, and it'll basically, let's try this for 10 o'clock. Create. And you see here it pre-populates this. So it has created a conference call for me. This is just the default information. It's assigned it an ID. So this would be a one-time. This is exactly like if you went into GoToMeeting and created an invitation. Okay, I'm going to schedule a GoToMeeting for a particular time. This is a custom link that's only good for this one meeting. The other thing we can do with the conference bridge is we can create what they call a reservation list bridge. And so I have mine. If you change this link, that last numeric section there, to 4821459, that would take you to my bridge, which is basically always on. And so that makes it very easy. If I were in the car or something and we needed to set up a super quick conference call between a few people, I could just tell the person on the other end, hey, call back into our 352-512-0933. That's our external dial-in for the conference bridge. And then once you're in there, just 482-1459, which is the same as my DID. And then we would all be on that conference bridge. No need to do the invitation piece. So those are our kind of functions and features there for tips and tricks for Communicator. Things some of it I'm sure you do, some of it maybe you knew and forgot or just haven't. Hopefully I gave you an idea of how you could use something differently. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. There's not that many on right now. So let's see if we've got any questions. I don't see any hands up. I don't think I missed any. So do we have any questions from anybody that's online? I did such an amazing job that nobody has any questions. I like it. That or you're all asleep, one or the other. All right. Okay, well, I will. We'll call it a day then if we don't have any questions. I'm just trying to find the. Double check my chat. Okay, I think we're good. All right. Well, I surely appreciate you guys joining us. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day. If you have any questions about anything I showed you, just reach out to your account executive, or like I say, if it's a support-related issue. Please feel free to email help@vertex.com or call the main number and hit 2 for support. And as I said, my name is Matt, and it'll be my pleasure to host you guys again in another month. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.